Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Montgomery Mixed Opinions Sports Broadcast. My name is Kyle Seagraves. I'm here with
Briar Singh.
Caleb Parkin.
Caden Fink.
and we're here to bring you everything football. We're going to be talking about NFL, fantasy, college, and everything to do with football today. So, to start off the day, we're going to talk about Week 8 of the NFL. Any shocks going this week? I mean, there's obviously one. The Chiefs losing to
Broncos.
the Denver Broncos. What do you guys think happened in that game?
I have no clue. People were saying, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes is sick. He's not playing like usual," but I don't know. It was just complete BS. It was so bad.
Well, Patrick Mahomes did look god awful, but as well as Chiefs defense, who've been pretty decent all year, giving up, what was it, 3 touchdowns or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Chiefs also couldn't get the running game started. They had like 3 or 4 turnovers.
I think Pacheco got 7 carries
Yeah,
the whole entire game.
yeah. Overall, just a really, really bad game from the Chiefs, which they should be able to bounce back. I couldn't imagine the Chiefs
Yeah.
being bad for the whole rest of the season, but definitely a very bad game from them. What else happened? So we had the Jets beat the Giants. Did you guys watch that game? God awful. I think there was 4 punts.
Well, I heard like Saquon had like 21 carries or something like that.
Oh no, it was like 30 something.
Jesus.
They had it was a rainy, miserable day, which didn't help. But the teams combined for over 1,000 yards in punts.
In punts?
It was probably the worst game I've ever watched in my entire life. The most boring game. It was just abysmal offense play. So moving on, we had the Panthers getting their first win of the season
Or the Texans.
over the Texans, who've actually not looked bad the whole year.
I was surprised.
I think the game-winning drive led by C.J. Stroud, number 1 overall pick, who hasn't quite lived up to his hype.
You mean Bryce Young?
Or Bryce Young. That's what I meant. C.J. Stroud's, of course, Texans. One who lost, but yeah, Bryce Young not quite lived up to the hype. A lot of things surrounding, especially his physical.
One thing that surprised me this week was the Eagles and the Commanders. That game was way too close.
Yeah, coming from an Eagles fan, it was a pretty like heart-wrenching game. Our defense just doing almost nothing the whole game.
Jalen Hurts threw for 29 completions out of 38 attempts, 319 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Sam Howell threw 39 completions, 52 attempts, 397 yards, and 4 TDs and 1 interception.
Yeah, as an Eagles fan, that scares me. Knowing our defense was so dominant last year for most of the season, that it's pretty scary to see, especially like Sam Howell put up almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns against an Eagles defense who I was excited about going into the year, with new defensive coordinator Sean Desai, and a few big ads like Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith and Nakobe Dean going into his second year. All Georgia Bulldogs right there, but it's pretty scary. But I am excited about the offense. AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts finally really solidifying their connection. 6 straight 125 receiving yard games, which is a new NFL record. Been dominant the last 6 weeks, and I'm sure it's going to continue throughout the whole year.
One team that's impressed me this year is the Detroit Lions.
Yeah,
They're
that's true.
6-2.
They've been dominant all year.
And they have the easiest schedule for the rest of the season. No doubt that they'll be in playoffs, probably a good seed in playoffs too. The Eagles have right now first in the NFC. They have probably, I don't think but one of the toughest remaining schedules. They have Chiefs, Bills, Cowboys twice, some tough divisional games, and then against some good teams in the AFC and the rest of the NFC.
Cowboys had a pretty good game against the Rams, 43-20.
Yeah, the Cowboys have looked up and down the whole year. I think.
Yeah.
I think in the games they play good. They play really good. In games they play bad. They play really bad.
Yeah.
Of course, they're only the only win of the Cardinals was against the Cowboys. After the Giants beat the Cardinals, and the Cowboys blew out the Giants by 40 points.
So Dak threw for 304 yards against the Rams.
Yeah, their offense looked really good, as well as their defense. With, who was it, Deron Bland or something like that. Their rookie getting, I think he has 3 pick sixes on them.
I couldn't tell you.
Let's go to the other surprises. The Bengals. We have Caden Fink, big Bengals fan. How'd you feel about that game, Caden?
You know, looking at the Bengals dominating the 49ers this past weekend really warms my heart. I mean, I know they started off the year slow. It wasn't looking too good for Bengals fans. But, you know, they're starting to pick it up a little bit. Right now, they are last in the division with Ravens leading it, but I feel like things could turn around real fast.
Yeah, the Bengals, historically, like the last 2-3 years, have had really bad starts to their seasons. I started 0-2 last year as well. I think it maybe just taking a while to click for everything on the offense. Joe Mixon finally having a decent day, and beating the 49ers, who just looked terrible the last 3 weeks.
They just lost the top NFC West position to the Seahawks.
Yeah, so Seahawks currently leading the division in their pretty impressive win over the Browns. Really dominant defense.
Jackson Smith, Jigba or something like that.
Yeah, game-winning touchdown. That dominant Browns defense, #1 defense in the NFL, and they put up 24 on them.
5-2. I think the 49ers are 5-3 right now.
Yeah. And still have yet to go on their bye. And that I don't know what their schedule looks like the rest of the year, but currently the standings they've dropped to I think the 6th seed, which is not ideal for 49ers fans after the dominant start that they had, losing 3 straight. Brock Purdy's looked terrible. So, but we'll get into this later. But making some trade deadline trades with the Commanders.
That was
But
a big trade.
yeah, to cover the rest of the week, the Saints on top of the Colts. Saints offense finally looking decent. They've looked pretty bad all year, mostly carried by their defense. The Colts with Anthony Richardson out, being led by Gardner Minshew. Minshew Mania. Not looking horrible, but the Chargers killed the Bears on Sunday Night Football, 30-13. Chargers looking decent, but it's not much to say against terrible Bears defense. The Bears offense looked horrible as well. Lions over the Raiders. The Raiders just benched Jimmy Garoppolo after an embarrassing loss against the Lions. Their 1 touchdown came from a pick 6, and I think Devontae Adams, who I have in my fantasy, I'll complain about this later, 1 catch for 11 yards. And Jacoby Myers, the wide receiver 2, I think had 1 catch as well.
I think that's Jimmy G's fault, though.
Yeah,
Have
they
you
benched
watched him
him.
play? Good.
He's just looked awful.
Yeah.
I don't think he completed a pass until the 3rd quarter, or maybe it was late in the 2nd quarter or something like that. But that was on Monday night, and it was just horrible looking. And then-
Ravens beating the Cardinals 31-24.
not impressive. The Cardinals haven't looked great all year, but some of those touchdowns were garbage time touchdowns. But the Ravens have looked really good so far, leading the AFC North, top of the division. They definitely look good. Lamar Jackson back to that, was it 2018 MVP season? Looking amazing through the air and on the ground. And then we had the Jags beating the Steelers. No surprise, the Steelers' offense just can't get anything going. They just don't look good. Their defense pretty decent, but Jags actually on the longest winning streak right now in the NFL. I think they're
6-2 right now.
yeah 6-2. Trevor Lawrence has looked pretty good the whole year. And then going on, we had the Titans beating the Falcons. Will Levis, first, I don't know if he started or if he came in second quarter, but first career game, he threw 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to DeAndre Hopkins. Actually looked like he was making some elite throws. He looked like an elite quarterback who's definitely, I think, should be starting. I think Vrabel came out and said that he didn't name him the starter yet, which to me is unbelievable because he looked amazing against a Falcons defense that isn't horrible. And then that was almost all. Vikings over the Packers. Vikings now with Kirk Cousins tearing his Achilles in that game, which is a shame. Kirk Cousins is having an MVP caliber season, and now he's hurt. And they traded for Joshua Dobbs, who we'll cover later. They traded for him before the deadline. So that's what we'll move on to. We'll move on to the NFL trade deadline, which was yesterday. A lot of big things happening. We had Chase Young going to the 49ers. Big win for the 49ers, who already have an impressive defensive front. Javon Hargrave, who they acquired from the Eagles last year. Nick Bosa, who's been dominant. And then now acquiring Chase Young, who hasn't gotten as much recognition, especially just being on the Commanders. But I definitely think he can help make a name for himself. Former first-round pick.
Chase Young and Nick Bosa actually played at Ohio State together.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So being reunited there in 49ers,
But
hopefully can turn things around after the bad 3 losses by the 49ers. And then we had the Bills trading for Rasul Douglas from the Packers, which is good to help strengthen an already pretty decent Bills defense. I feel like this trade deadline, rich got richer. I think that was the big headline, that a lot of the good teams added some even better players. What else happened at the deadline? Vikings trading for Joshua Dobbs. Honestly, I'm very high on Joshua Dobbs. For his time in Arizona that he started, while Kyler Murray has been out, he's looked pretty decent, especially with not the best wide receiving core. Marquise Brown, the wide receiver 1 over there. And I think he can really do some good things with Jordan Addison and hopefully Justin Jefferson when he comes back. So I hope that he can keep Kirk's good season going and keep the 49ers on pace to hopefully be in the hunt.
the Seahawks just traded for a defensive lineman, Leonard Williams. I think that's definitely going to help strengthen their defense a lot, really. I mean, our defense has been pretty good recently. Witherspoon, rookie, I think he's going to be a good shot to win Defense Rookie of the Year this year. I mean, defense is okay, but we're going to get better.
And then we also had, not a trade, but the Bills signed Leonard Fournette. Last time Leonard Fournette was on a team, he had 4 touchdowns in a playoff game. Hopefully to Tampa Bay, so he can help strengthen that run with. He can help strengthen that run game there. with James Cook and help that offense keep getting better and hopefully to win the division, or at least try to win the division over the Dolphins. Not the biggest trade deadline we've had, but definitely some big moves coming out of it. So we will move on now to fantasy. So how are your guys' fantasy teams looking this week?
I have 2 leagues. So one league, I am 5-3. I have a 3-game win streak, and I just put up my record. I think like 170 points last week. Tua got me 21. Gibbs finally have another breakout game. He got 30. Kenneth Walker, he contributed the win for the Seahawks, but didn't do a whole lot. He only got 8 points. CeeDee Lamb, I don't know if that's his highest scoring game. I think it is ever. 41 points.
Yeah, he went off in that Rams game. I'm currently 7-1 in my league. I'm getting hit the next 2 weeks with some buys, but I had a good win last week against I think the number 3 person in my league, Jordan Addison, who I was banking on. I started him over Puka, Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, and Calvin Ridley. I was banking on him having a good game, and he did before Kirk tore his Achilles. Put up 7 receptions for 82 yards and a touchdown, giving me 21 points and helping me get that win.
The Cowboys defense outscored Travis Kelce. Cowboys defense got 16 points and Travis Kelce got 11.8.
Weird week in fantasy. I think if I saw a thing on the worst possible lineup, some of the best players in the NFL. I mean, Devontae Adams got 2.1, 1 catch for 11 yards, 2.1 points. Patrick Mahomes, I don't even know how much he got. It was abysmal. It was pretty low. Travis Kelce scored almost nothing. Who else had a bad game? I can't think of off the top of my head who else was on that list. But my team's looking pretty good right now. I've got I traded for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was a good addition. I traded him for George Pickens and Jerome Ford. And then I picked up Sam Laporta off waivers. I think I picked him up after the first week because I thought he'd be good, and that paid off because he's been excellent for me all year. Scored 19.7 Monday night. And then Joe Mixon, who's been sitting on my bench for the entire season, finally put up a decent game, putting up 20 points.
One tight end that's actually surprised me these past 2 weeks is David Njoku.
Mm-hmm.
He just dropped 17 points, and last week I think he had 13 or something like that. And after recovering from his burns and everything like that, I'm kind of surprised he's still doing well.
On to my fantasy league. I have 2 teams, just like Briar. My better team is 6-2, and I smoked Connor Jarrett last week. But my worst league is 0-8, and I can barely put up 100 points, so not too good for me.
Well, I'm pretty happy with my team right now. I made a mistake. I traded Jahmyr Gibbs 3 weeks ago after his one last bad game. He's average. I think he's averaged the most out of any running back the last 2 weeks, putting up I think almost 30 points each week. I traded him for Devon Achane and Nico Collins, who I'm excited about Achane coming back. I figured I could, since I'm 7-1 in the league, I could take the hit because I have Achane and Justin Jefferson on IR right now. But bad move by me trading Jahmyr
Last
Gibbs.
week, Jahmyr Gibbs had 27 points. This week, he had 29.9.
Yeah. Just bad B. I figured that he might have a decent week, but I was not thinking 30-point week for 2 weeks in a row. I figured once David Montgomery came back, he'd split carries and wouldn't have as much. We'll see David Montgomery coming back hopefully after the bye week, and their week 9 bye week. So he'll be back in week 10. And we'll see what the snap share is and what the production is for Gibbs there. So moving on to college football. I'm not the biggest college watcher, but these guys watch college a bit more. Any college opinions for this week?
I don't know. I think Penn State plays Michigan. Personally, I'm a Penn State fan, but we just have not come out strong the last 2 weeks, and I don't think we're gonna win.
Penn State plays Maryland.
Oh, never mind. We're gonna play Michigan.
No, but one thing about Penn State, I think they kind of made that game way too close
Yeah.
to Indiana.
They-
24-33.
They've been playing bad against bad teams, which makes them look even worse, but when they put on a good drive, it is unstoppable.
One thing, another Big Ten team, number 3, Ohio State was tied 10-10 with Wisconsin at halftime. They did end up winning 24-10, but I still think that game was way too close. But one thing about Ohio State, I feel like they are definitely a second half team. But Ohio State, I think they could be contenders this year, but I don't know if they're going to go all the way.
Well, we don't have Peyton Harvin here, who's pretty much our big college guy who talks about college. He's not here today. Hopefully, he'll be joining us next week.
He is
for-
hunting.
Yeah, he's hunting right now. It's hunting season in Pennsylvania, so we'll just move on then. We're gonna go on to Peyton Harvin. He's a big Florida State fan. Sure, he's happy about their win over Wake Forest, beat them 41-16. I'm sure he'll have some words about that next week. But for now, we'll just move on to our last segment. We're going to do some NFL predictions. So we're going to be talking about divisions, and we're going to get each person's opinion and say who we think for the rest of the season who's going to win the division at the end of the year. So about midway through the year, we're going to start with the AFC East. Last time I was thinking Bills. The Bills beat the Dolphins once already. The Bills looking bad against bad teams. So I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna go back to the Dolphins. So I think the Dolphins definitely the high-powered offense need to figure out their defense a little bit more. Just got back, I think, Jalen Ramsey. Some injuries coming back, so I think they'll be better off.
Steve, you got a pick.
Yeah. Their head coach. I can't think of his name. Yeah, he was said he was disappointed that he said he'd get a pick 6, not a pick field goal.
Yeah.
But definitely sticking with the Dolphins. How about you guys?
I'm definitely going with the Dolphins too. I mean, they're 2-2 on the road, but they're 4-0 at home. Which their home field advantage is kind of crazy with the way that just the stadium is shaped. You ever see that?
Oh yeah,
The Heat.
Yeah, which isn't going to be as much of a factor
Yeah.
getting into the later in the year, but yeah, I did see that there's like a 30 degree difference between the two sidelines, based on how they
Home
built
sideline
it.
is shaded. and
Yeah, based on how they
opponents is
built their
not.
stadium. So big home field advantage there.
But I'm still sticking with the Dolphins. I mean, Tua has been looking amazing this year. It's good to see him back after what happened last year. But yeah, I'm still going with the Dolphins.
I originally came out with the Bills. I thought the Bills were going to be strong, but that game against the Patriots was just pathetic, so I'm going to have to stick with the Dolphins too.
Alright, so moving on to the AFC West. Chiefs looking horrible against Denver, but I don't think that's going to continue. Definitely the rest of the division, Chargers, who are inconsistent year to year. Raiders, who just benched Jimmy Garoppolo. Some problems going on there. And the Broncos, who just can't figure it out, especially with Russ in the backfield. I think that's definitely Chiefs division.
Yeah, the Chiefs don't have enough competition.
Yeah, I agree. The Chiefs are just ahead of the game in that division.
Yeah, and also going with the Chiefs. I mean, if they lose, it's going to be a big upset to everybody.
Okay, moving on to the AFC North, probably the most competitive division in the NFL. Right now, the Ravens leading at 6-2. Steelers and Browns both with great defenses, being hindered by their offenses a little bit, both at 4-3, and then the Bengals at 4-3, who are finally getting it together with an impressive win over the 49ers. I'm gonna stick with the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens have looked good. Their defense looks good. Lamar Jackson's having another great season, like his MVP season a few years ago. I don't think with the bad offensive play from the other teams in the division, I don't think that there's anyone that can top them.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Ravens here still. They have a 3-game win streak, but surprisingly, so do the Bengals. But I think if they can get something to click like they have been for like the past 3 games, I think they could possibly make a wild card, but I still think the Ravens are gonna pull away.
I think the Ravens could definitely win it, but Bengals have notoriously played bad at the beginning of the season, so they might come back and get it.
Okay, now moving on to the AFC South. I think this is easily Jags division. Texans, Titans, Colts all look bad. Texans not horrible, CJ Stroud, but just not the right roster to make a playoff run. And the Jags with a 5-game win streak, looking pretty good.
I'm gonna second with Kyle. I'm going to go with the Jags, and one thing that impresses me with the Jags, they are 4-0 on the road.
I agree. The Jags have just been, I wouldn't say outstanding, but very, very, like, something to look at.
Moving on to the NFC East. Coming from an Eagles fan, I think I'm pretty biased on this, but I want to say this is the Eagles division. The NFC East has not had a repeat division winner in I think 20-something years. So, do you guys think this can be the first year that the Eagles can repeat win after their win last year?
I think the Eagles will definitely repeat. I mean, the Cowboys, they're iffy. I mean, they can be great, but they can be terrible at the same time. So, and the Eagles are more consistent, so I'm going with the Eagles.
I agree. Eagles have just shown to be better. Like, Giants can't put anything together even if they tried, so Eagles got it.
Moving on to the NFC West. You guys are Seahawks fans. Between the Seahawks and 49ers, Rams aren't looking horrible, but Matthew Stafford did just get hurt, and they're 3-5. I want to go with the 49ers, but something about the Seahawks, man. They're coming back after the 5-game win streak for the 49ers with 3 straight losses. Got to figure something out as the Seahawks division.
I'm going to second Kyle. I mean, I am a Seahawks fan, so I'm a little biased, but I think this the way that the Seahawks been playing these past couple games, I think if they play like that for the rest of the season, I think they can pull away the division. 49ers need to figure something out, or Seahawks will take it.
I definitely agree. Seahawks are in the top. The 49ers, their performance against the Bengals was just not it.
Okay, moving on to the NFC North. Real competition here is only between Lions and Vikings. The Lions look stellar all year, have one of the easiest schedules going on the rest of the year. I think this Lions division.
Yeah, Lions all the way.
And Kirk Cousins just got hurt, being replaced by Joshua Dobbs. We'll see how he looks. I have high hopes for him, especially with Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson on my fantasy team, but I think it's the Lions division.
Lions for sure.
Yeah.
And then lastly, NFC South, worst division in the NFL. Almost like Panthers have looked abysmal, finally getting their first win. Falcons inconsistent. Saints offense can barely figure anything out. Their defense pretty much been carrying them. And then Bucks being led by Baker Mayfield haven't looked horrible, but haven't looked great either. So if I'm gonna go with someone, I'm gonna say the Saints are gonna figure this out with Derek Carr. They're gonna win the division.
Also going with Kyle, I think the Saints. I think if their defense can keep playing how they've been, and the offense figure something out like they did last game, I think they can pull the division.
I agree. If the Saints get a good drive going, I think they could definitely put something up.
Alrighty, well, that is going to conclude our episode for today. Thank you for tuning in to the Montgomery Mixed Opinions podcast. Tune in next week for going over the NFL Week 9. Have a great day.